Okay. Bro, have you seen this video of Drake kissing a 17-year-old on stage? I just watched it and I am a little uncomfortable now. Taking out my headphones. I was thinking, Sparks, today maybe we start with the Sonic 3 review. Well, okay. First of all, how do I get this music on freaking Opera GX to stop? Oh, right there. That's so nice. Now, Sparks, you have to help me out here because two there are two movies that I want to review. The first, let me pull it up here. The first, of course, being Sonic 3. That will be tab number 1. Sonic 3, there we go. And then the second is A Gingerbread Christmas. Now, you let me know which one do you want the review of first. I will be reviewing both. But as you are the only viewer in the chat, I'm not going to do a vote or nothing. Oh. So, are you saying you want me to do A Gingerbread Christmas? Or Sonic 3? Because I have a lot to say about both of these movies. Probably a bit more about A Gingerbread Christmas, if I'm being honest. But I'll talk about either. Or or we could go about A Gingerbread Christmas. Or we could spin a wheel. Like we could spin a wheel to decide. Okay, Sonic 3, Gingerbread Christmas, you pick, or we spin the wheel. Spin the wheel? Okay. This will decide whether we do a review of A Gingerbread Christmas or Sonic 3. And it looks like it's A Gingerbread Christmas. Oh my gosh. Alright, I guess we're doing a review of A Gingerbread Christmas. So let's get into it. First of all, I'm not expecting you to have seen A Gingerbread Christmas. So let me know if you're okay with spoilers, and I will go through the whole plot just to catch you up with what happened in this movie. I'll wait. I'm totally fine waiting. I actually have to edit some of my stream info real quick. This movie came out in 2022. However, I watched it a couple months ago, around Christmas time. I guess that's like only a month ago now. But Sparks, you don't have to watch it. I will explain the whole movie to you. I promise. I promise you would rather me explain the movie to you than actually watching it yourself. Also, this guy looks really familiar to me. What has he been in that I recognize him from? Oh, maybe he was in Reacher. Oh, he was like the accountant in Reacher, I think, actually. Maybe. Is that really where I know him from? Oh, well. So let's pull up the cast real quick. Actually, just pull up the IMDb. So, A Gingerbread Christmas. Here we have our cast, all right? Starting with Taya Sikar. That's not her real name. Or no, that is her real name. That's not her real name in the movie. What else has she been in? She's been nominated for things? She was in Star Wars Rebels. Oh, good for her. All right, let's go through this. So first, we have Hazel Stanley. Now, Hazel is the main character of A Gingerbread Christmas. And now, essentially, A Gingerbread Christmas is a story about an aspiring architect, Hazel Stanley, as we see here. Hazel wants to get a full-time position at her architecture firm. Now, she thought this was in the bag, all right? She thought she was the best architect at this firm. She had this best new architect at this firm. She thought she had this position in the bag, and she was just awaiting that call for that offer. But this is America, man. And we're a bunch of racists here. So you know who they give the architecture position to instead of Hazel Stanley, I believe, Indian woman? They give it to a white man. I think it's this guy, Daryl Baxter, maybe? Maybe, I don't know. It could be this guy. Let's say it's this guy. So he got, yes, she was laid off because of DEI, exactly. And this white man got the architecture position instead. Super messed up. So what does she do? Well, it's around Christmas time. She goes back home for the holidays, all right? Where she goes to meet her father. And her father is this guy, Ted, who doesn't have a last name, I guess. I'm assuming his last name is Stanley because that's her last name. So Ted Stanley here is the father. And he is now a widow because his wife died, I think, a year prior. And his wife is obviously her mother. Dad, daughter, dead mom, dead wife. Now, her mom ran a gingerbread, or I guess not just, they didn't just do gingerbread. They did like she ran a bakery, essentially. Okay, but she was really good at making gingerbread. So she goes to her mom's bakery, which is now being run by Ted Stanley, her father. And that is where she meets James Meadows. Now, James is doing repairs on the bakery. However, she is also doing, this is it. This is the movie right here. Oh my gosh. So James here is doing repairs on the bakery, but he's also baking. He's basically the only employee, and he's running the whole bakery. Now, the bakery is not doing very well. And that is because of this bitch right here. Kiana Teresa. Kiana, all right, and for a little bit of backstory, Shelby, I should use their movie names, not their real names. Shelby was Hazel's ex-best friend from high school. That was until Shelby stole Hazel's boyfriend at prom. And they've never been friends since. Now, Shelby opened up a bakery across the street that was directly competing with Hazel's mother's bakery, all right? And was taking all of their business. And I mean all of their business. There was not a single person that ordered anything in this bakery the entire movie because they were all going to Shelby's Bakery, which is kind of crazy. It's like close the business down at that point. If you're not getting like a single customer, like that's beyond bad. But going past that, they have this idea. They need to save their bakery, right? And at first, Hazel, right, is not thrilled about James running her mom's bakery. But they kind of get to know each other. James is a single father. He has a daughter that's a preteen. The wife is not, or not the wife, the ex-wife slash mom of his daughter is not dead. They're just divorced or something. And he is like good at baking. He's good at doing construction. He's kind of good at everything. That's just who James is. He's a Renaissance man. And Hazel, she does not like James at first. She thinks James is cocky. She thinks James is too hot for school or whatever. But then they get to know each other a little bit. And they both want to save this bakery, right? And Hazel's kind of being a bitch about it the whole freaking time. And James is really just trying to be helpful. But he's obviously not as invested in this as she is because it's not his mom's bakery, it's her mom's bakery, right? And that is when they learn about the gingerbread competition, okay? This guy right here, Mark Clemens, is hosting a $100,000 gingerbread house competition. Look at this. If you see, $100,000 right there, it says. And she literally spits out her coffee when she sees that. So she gets this idea. She thinks, we need to win this gingerbread competition in order to save the bakery. Because $100,000 will clear all of their debts. Now, she's obviously not very financially literate because $100,000 is not enough to save a family business. For a space as big as theirs in that town, they're paying a lot in rent probably. I would think at least $5,000 to $10,000 a month in rent. $100,000 pays your rent for the year, probably. Maybe your rent for a year and a half. It's hard to say, but when they are not getting a single customer this entire movie, you kind of realize $100,000 isn't going to save the business. It's going to give them enough money to close the business down, but it's not going to save the business. But she doesn't realize that. So she goes and she wants to win this gingerbread competition in order to save her mother's bakery, even though she would really only have enough money to close the business down and probably have a little bit of money left over. Because I think they were pretty far into debt. So they start working on their gingerbread house, and they're going to do a gingerbread house of City Hall. And they start working. They're planning. She's an architect. She knows how to build stuff, kind of. But she needs a 3D printer, and this is where things get interesting. So she needs to use a 3D printer, like an industrial one, to build a model of the gingerbread house that they are going to make. So what does she do? She goes to the small architecture firm in her town. In this small town, there's a small architecture firm. And you know how I said earlier that the architecture firm that she was working at in the big city, they did not hire her and instead they hired a white man? Well, this architecture firm that she goes to in her small town is a woman-led, woman-grown architecture firm that employs women of all races, women of all ethnicities, and women of all identifications, essentially. It's a very diverse woman-run. I don't even think there was a single man there. It was beautiful. So she goes in there. She's like, "Wow, this is heaven. This is heaven on earth. Can I use your 3D printer?" And they say, "Yeah, of course you can use your 3D printer. We love this idea of you building a what you call it? I don't remember what it's called. A gingerbread house. That's it, of City Hall." So she does. Yeah, Sparks, it is pretty fucking woke, okay? But we're looking past that. All right? This was made in 2022 when Biden was in office, so clearly there's reasons that this movie got made this way. I'm not going to get into that, though. But basically, They go and build their gingerbread house. But then, and this is where things get crazy, they get into a fight because she wants to make the gingerbread house even more complicated. And he thinks it's perfect just the way it is. So they get into a fight. And in her crazy, awful bitchiness, she accidentally destroys the gingerbread house. And James here is like, I'm done. You're insane and I cannot deal with this. And then she tells him to get out. So then she gets out. Or he gets out. And she stays. And she's like, this is awful. My gingerbread house is ruined. There's not enough time before the $100,000 gingerbread competition. Okay? But then, that is where this lady comes in. And this lady's been a part of the movie this whole time, but I haven't mentioned her yet. So she is her godmother, our main character's godmother. But she is also the aunt to her ex-best friend that owns the the bakery across the street that's stealing all of the business. So the aunt says, hey, niece, you need to help her build this gingerbread house again, and you guys need to become friends again. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then the aunt's like, well, I paid for you to open up your stupid little bakery, so you're going to do it to pay me back. So then she's like, fine. And then they build the gingerbread house together again, the exact same way, and they're like super happy about it, and they become friends again. Okay? And then, the gingerbread competition starts. And it is really disappointing, all these gingerbread houses. Because I'm sure if you've like ever watched a real Food Network show, and this is like the Food Network of the world, if you've ever watched a real Food Network show, the things they do on those shows is insane. They'll build like whole roller coasters out of chocolate. They'll build like these giant like 7 foot tall cakes and everything. They'll do crazy things on Food Network for like $50,000. This is a $100,000 prize. And these are just like the most kind of pretty good gingerbread houses that you could make in like a couple days. That people brought ahead of time. On Food Network, they're making that shit like on the spot in like 3 hours. So, total bullshit, the prize money and the quality of things getting built here, right? But we need to talk about another character. I think it was this lady. Yes. The only Muslim woman on the show. She had a hijab on, so I couldn't tell at first. But this is her. And what was her name again? Yasmin. Yasmin built a gingerbread mosque. And excuse me, but it was actually pretty cool looking, I gotta say. How would you rate a gingerbread Christmas? 10 fucking stars, obviously. Oh, I'm not signing in. Never mind. So Yasmin ends up winning because of Woke, right? Woke makes Yasmin win the $100,000 prize because she built a gingerbread mosque. Oh my god. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's over. They're not going to win the $100,000. They're not going to be able to save the bakery. Game, set, match, right? But no. Another twist. This aunt, Nina, is actually a successfully published, semi-famous author that has a publisher and like a publishing company. And what she does is she goes to Hazel here and she's like, Hazel, we can turn your mother's recipes into a cookbook and there will be a $100,000 signing bonus. So she's like, yes, I'm going to do it, right? That sounds amazing. And then also James comes back at some point and they like make up and they're like friends again. And then they kiss at some point or something. And then Shelby and her get approached by Mark Clemens here, the Food Network guy. And Mark is like, listen, I heard about your guys' bakery situation. You're like rival bakeries. We're going to make your two bakeries into a Food Network show of like rival bakeries across the street from each other. So then they do that too, and they get more money from that. So she's getting her $100,000 from the cookbook. She's getting her Food Network money from the TV show. And then, this is where it gets crazy. She gets a call from the architecture firm that didn't want to hire her. And they're like, Hazel, You have to understand. We made a mistake. The white guy that we hired because of DEI, he lost us our biggest account because he was so dumb and didn't know what to do because he's a white man. We need you back. Will you please come and work for a big architecture firm? And Hazel's like, you guys had your chance. I know about little woke minority women architecture firm now, and that is where I'm gonna work. So she goes to the minority women architecture firm. She's like, listen, I would like a job here. And they're like, we can't pay you as much as big architecture firm. And she's like, that's okay. What I want, what I really want, is right here in this town. And then that's a gingerbread Christmas. That's how it ends. And I think her and James end up together or something as well. But I'm not actually sure about that. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've watched this movie. And I kind of walked in and out at some points. But that was a gingerbread Christmas. And overall, I would rate it probably a 10 out of 10. I don't think I've ever watched a movie that like gave me such a visceral reaction of like feelings. I mean, not like in a bad way. So, yeah. And then who are these other characters? I don't know who this was. I don't know who that was. Oh, there was also this like gay couple that was like this guy, I think he was part of this gay couple. And one of them was real bitchy, but he was the nice one. I think this was the bitchy gay guy, and then that guy was the nice gay guy. And they came in and out at some points too. But I don't know how they were related to anyone. I don't know who Ben was either. Yeah, I don't know who this guy was. I honestly don't know who this was. Claire. Oh, Claire might have been Shelby's partner for making the... Yeah, because that was the thing. I think Shelby stole her boyfriend at prom, but then Shelby ends up being lesbian and is with Claire. So, like, she wasn't even into the guy, really, because she was lesbian, but she still stole her boyfriend. So, that's pretty fucked up, too. I don't remember this guy, but I guess he was a barista at some point. He was also in Scream 6, apparently. But that is a Gingerbread Christmas. Probably one of the best Christmas movies I watched this year. It might have been the only Christmas movie I watched this year. I don't know who this lady was either. Trish. Why is her profile picture just looking like a street interview that has happened at some point? I think she's not a very successful actress, unfortunately. But that was it, man. That was a Gingerbread Christmas. So, what do you think? Is that something you're gonna watch now? I guess I did just kind of explain the whole thing to you, so maybe you don't need to watch it anymore. It is a little woke, I will say, Sparks. Did you see Donald Trump blaming disabled people for the helicopter crash? Like multiple times. He was basically just like, listen, guys, we've hired too many disabled people, and that is why this happened. But I mean, like, I don't think there was any disabled people involved with this incident. Um, but there could have been, and that's enough. Dude, it's so funny because like when he started bringing up like the DEI stuff, I didn't think he was gonna bring up. I thought he was gonna bring up like we're hiring all these like illegals to to work at the airport or whatever. But no, he like was talking about disabled people. Kind of weird that it only happened after he laid people off. Yeah, I know it is like kind of funny. I did hear that one guy was running like two towers essentially by himself, which doesn't sound like super smart to me. But I don't. What do I know, right? I'm just a guy that like streams on Twitch occasionally. Um, I am kind of interested though. Like, if there's updates on that helicopter crash. Okay. Army helicopter was flying 100 feet too high. That's probably makes a difference. Three days after the midair collision of an Army helicopter and an American Airlines passenger plane near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, air safety investigators said on Saturday that they are still working to fill in some key details that could point out to the cause of the crash. They are looking into whether the pilots from the Army's Black Hawk helicopter experienced vision impairment while flying in the dark skies and whether the copter deviated from its normal route. The Black Hawk may have been flying higher than it should have been, said representatives from the National Transportation Safety Board, an independent federal agency leading the investigation during a briefing on Saturday evening. But investigators stopped short of confirming multiple media reports based on publicly available flight data that the helicopter breached aviation rules that require helicopters on that route to stay below 200 feet. Oh. So they haven't confirmed it, but that seems to be the case. Well, you would think, Sparks, right? You would also think that it would be disabled Army pilots too, but I don't think the Black Hawk pilots were mentally or physically disabled in any way. I have heard some people say it could have been the fact that they were wearing night vision goggles when they shouldn't have been wearing night vision goggles. Um, Plane was at 300 feet. They should have stayed below 200 feet. Looks like we're still waiting on more information, but did you see the other plane that went down? That was honestly just as sad. Of like the girl that the medical plane, yeah. This like little girl just got life-saving medical care, and she was being flown back home, and the plane went down, I guess, in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. It did say in that article the black boxes were in good condition, so, or at least the Black Hawk black box. That's a tongue twister. Black Hawk black box. All right, time for my Sonic 3 review. So we've just reviewed a Gingerbread Christmas. Now we're gonna do Sonic 3. Now, what do I have to say about Sonic 3? I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It was just a good movie. Like, Shadow was badass. I think they did him well. I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, this was one of my favorite scenes right here. I don't think Mario was in the movie. I think that someone photoshopped that in, but it was just funny, dude. Like most, if not all, of the jokes landed, and the ones that didn't, you could kind of tell, like, well, those are for the kids, and that's totally fine. There was like a legitimately sad backstory. I don't understand the relationship between Robotnik, his grandfather, and then I believe it's Alice. Is that right? Maria. Maria. Um, yeah, I don't really get the relationship. I understand that he's the grandfather to both of them. So does that make them sisters or cousins? Robotnik and Maria. I'm not really sure. They don't really go into that. But yeah, I mean, Sonic going crazy with the Master Emerald, absolute wild moment. Wait, was Shadow voiced by Keanu Reeves? I don't think Jim Carrey and Maria were sisters. I think they may have been cousins or siblings, but I think sisters is a bit tough there. Oh my gosh, the story with this guy was so good. You know, you kind of really went. I feel like on the most emotional journey with him because I mean, just kind of watching him unravel his own like kind of twisted attachment to Robotnik. Realizing slowly that he's his own person, that Robotnik is not this all great, you know, omnipotent guy that'll bring him along for anything, and that he's kind of just a bad, mean person, even to him. I really respected it. It was kind of like watching someone leave a cult. James Marsden, he wasn't really in it this time. Wasn't a big part of the movie. Oh, he kind of was actually towards the end. That's not true. Oh, Ben Schwartz voices Sonic. I had no idea. Oh my gosh. The more you know. I mean, Jim Carrey obviously killed it. I think this was probably Jim Carrey's best Sonic. Um, Best iteration of Robotnik I'd seen. Overall, like, if we're comparing a Gingerbread Christmas and Sonic 3, I would probably put Sonic 3 just a minutia above it. However, a Gingerbread Christmas, there was a bit of magic to that movie. It's really hard to say. Because, like, there was no, and I don't say this lightly, but in Sonic 3, there was no woman led architecture firm. And a Gingerbread Christmas had a woman led minority driven architecture firm. And if you look at the Sonic team, just a bunch of white guys and Idris Elba. Actually, I don't know who Tails is. Who's Tails played by? Doo-doo. Tails. Okay, no, it's actually a white guy, a black guy, and a white woman. I did not realize that Tails was voiced. Is Tails a girl? No, Tails is a guy, but just being voiced by a girl like Goku. Let me look this up real quick. Is Tails? Is Tails a boy? The character was always intended to be male. Gotcha. You see, I think the problem with Sonic 3 is that none of the characters had their ball sacks out. Um, Personally, when I watch an anime, an animated film, where the source content comes from Japan about talking animals, I would like to see their balls. If I can't see their balls, I don't know if they're a guy or a girl, and that really frustrates me. So if I had one critique for Sonic 3, one critique, it would be, and I don't say this lightly, so again, if I had one single critique for Sonic 3, it would be the fact that I can't see any of their ball sacks. I can't see Shadow's ball sack here. I cannot see Sonic's ball sack in any scene. Okay, here's all of them. I can't see Knuckles' ball sack. I can't see Sonic's ball sack, and I can't see Tails' ball sack. Now, now here's a movie that I just watched recently, Pompoko. This movie, they quite literally used their ball sacks to fight against the destruction of a forest. They are using their ball sacks here to fight against, like, essentially the destruction of nature. It's very easy to tell who a guy and a girl is because you can see here. You can see here, they all have their balls out. Okay? Every single one, balls on display. Now, Sonic 3, there's no balls. They don't have the ball sacks anywhere. Here they are using their ball sacks as parachutes for guerrilla warfare. Okay? Now, I did not see this happen once in Sonic 3, and that I think is my biggest criticism of the movie. Unfortunately, again, here they are all walking. You can see very clearly here that every single character, balls, 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 and the balls are not just for aesthetic appeal for the audience, okay? They are practical. They are used as a very important plot device, okay? Could you imagine if this was Tails, Sonic, Knuckles, Shadow right here, and maybe Amy on the side without any balls, and they all just had their mask, like this yellow balls, his blue balls, blue balls, his red balls, and his, I guess, black balls, and then Amy just being here with no balls, of course. If that was the poster for Sonic 3, I think that would have gone hard. I think that would have gone crazy. Unfortunately, Sonic 3 is no Pompoko. And that's just a fact. Not much you can do about it. I do feel like we're kind of regressing as a society, though. This movie came out in the 90s, and I don't think we've really got anything like it since. So, that's my review of Sonic 3. Not enough balls, I guess. At the end of the day. There you have it. Overall, though, 9 out of 10. Would have been 10 out of 10, but again, I don't know how many times I gotta say it. I hope that lived up to your expectations, Sparks. I would definitely recommend watching Sonic 3. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the lack of balls kills the movie by any means. Just think that there's always improvements you can make. And that's kind of like one of them. Dude, Sparks, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like, you can have hairy balls. You can have veiny. I mean, veiny balls? Is that really the two? You could just have smooth balls, couldn't you? But I mean, a bit of hair is never bad. Like I don't really care. I suppose on Sonic and Knuckles, they would probably and Tails, they'd probably be pretty hairy. I would think. Are you familiar with Destiny at all? This guy right here. I've been watching the content nuke on him. He's like kind of a pedophile. It's kind of crazy. Like, he doesn't even like try to hide it or nothing. It's kind of. Yeah, I didn't know like any of this stuff, and I started watching this video, and I know like a lot of times when something like this comes out, it's like, oh, well, they clip the guy out of context, all of this like, isn't really what he believes. But I gotta say, man, most of what they're showing in this video, I don't see how any context can make it any better. Like the words that they're stringing together, I just don't see how they could like work in a way that would make sense in any other context. Could steroids be the reason we broke up? What is this? I don't know. Are they? Did you start beating
How
this
much do they
shit?
pump it up there? Did y'all not break up? Your girlfriend's body count, do you know it?
He's a fucking massive bro in the comment now.
Welcome back to the channel. This is the Anomaly. We're gonna do Sunday Q&A as usual. Fire off.
How do you quit smoking weed and watching porn? Please help me, I want to quit.
I think you just stop.
I don't think that's how addiction works. Find a new passion.
That's a passion, watching porn.
No.
You're funny, huh?
I mean find a passion. Sorry.
Find the passion. Find something to do. Get into the gym. The gym is one of the first things I go to if I want to stop my bad habits.
What is the thing you are most afraid of?
I'm afraid of getting an injury that genuinely destroys my career. That's the worst thing that could happen. So that's my fear.
Any more vids smoking Togi?
I'm going to America soon. I messaged him on Instagram. If he's interested, I'm actually gonna work out with him. Now, obviously, it's very unlikely that this is gonna happen. But when I go there, I'm open to have a collab, and mug him in person.
How many years did you train naturally before hopping on?
4.
4. You got a new girlfriend?
Yes.
When was she new?
No.
It doesn't seem like they're broken up. I feel like I was, in a way, baited into clicking on this video. There should be a term for that.
No, I just have one.
No, I probably shapeshift.
Yeah.
When I have makeup on and I'm pretty, I look like a girlfriend. And then when I have no makeup on and I'm ugly, I'm not like another girl. So they probably confuse me.
That's right.
How was your first approach with steroids?
I was very cautious in the beginning and anxious, obviously when you're natural, it's always at the back of your head. But when you finally come to the...
That's a good way to put it. I was bait clicked into this video because they didn't break up. The video is called "Could Steroids Be the Reason We Broke Up?" And they haven't broken up. They're clearly together. I was fucking bait clicked, bro.
The decision, you're not fully confident in what's gonna happen because you don't know how your body's gonna react. There's always those horror stories about gear and stuff. So obviously, since I was cautious and I'm not that stupid as you guys think, I got a coach who I knew was the smartest at the time in terms of roid knowledge, and I let him guide me, and I'm glad I did because I'm healthy to this day.
How do you satisfy your girl? Don't you have dysfunctional beat?
I wish I had it sometimes because it's
I
too
wish that
much.
too sometimes. There's no issues there.
They don't know how gear actually works. Okay, so wait, I'm gonna make this clear for everyone. If you're someone who has problems in that area and you hop on gear, most of the time you're gonna have more problems. But if you're someone who has no problems at all, if anything, you have the complete opposite, like you're constantly horny, you're gonna get even hornier. It's how it works. Steroids accelerate what you already have. If you have shit genetics, most of the time you're not gonna get much out of gear. I react in a good way, I think.
Excessively. You have to choose one life without steroids or life without Michelle.
Life without steroids, life without Michelle.
We're gonna get into an argument right now.
Oh, is this where they break up because you had to choose between steroids and oh, see now in the new context, the title of the video makes more sense because he's not saying could steroids be the reason we broke up? Well, no, because they said broke up instead of break up. If it was could steroids be the reason we break up? Question mark. Like, could we do it because of steroids in this hypothetical that was posed in the Q&A? Then yes, that would be a non-clickbait title. But could steroids be the reason we broke up implies that they've already broken up, which they have not done and they will not do. So this is bullshit. These guys still bait clicked me. Fucking hell.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. I would choose you. Obviously, at some point, I will drop the gear. That's why I don't mind, because the day's gonna come anyway. If I have to do it earlier, then I have to do it earlier. It doesn't matter. But I do want to compete. So obviously, I need to get bigger and bigger. I think I have at least 10 more years of steroids.
Yeah. Your girlfriend's body count, do you know it?
5.
I didn't think you'd actually say it. You'd be like less than one hand.
You can count it on one hand, you know.
Less than one hand. Sweet. How do you manage your girlfriend and gym together?
I don't. Just try
These Q&As, they really show your true colors. Jesus Christ.
Try to manage your time better and focus on all the important stuff.
No, Zvain. They're not asking, but they're asking you.
Yes.
How do you manage gym and girlfriend?
Yeah.
How?
I manage my time better.
No, you idiot.
What do you
Like communication, like plan things.
Huh? So I try to always leave that extra day or evening where I can go to her and just be with her, you know.
Which company whey do you take?
I always use Dragon Pharma supplements. They have a hot chocolate flavor that I love. I always put it with my cream of rice post-workout.
What's the favorite part?
Do I not know what cream of rice is? Or did he just say he puts hot chocolate flavored protein powder on cream of rice? Cream of rice is a naturally cholesterol-free, fat-free, and gluten-free with okay, but what is it? Is it just rice and cream? A boxed rice flour with milk or cream and heating it till it thickens. What the fuck? What the fuck, dude? Yeah, some of these questions are really just yeah.
Of her body too, yeah.
Favorite part of her face.
Yeah, don't say it
Like, what the fuck?
now.
Her eyes.
All men are the same, honestly. Don't know what to expect anymore. I'm in early stage of insomnia. What to do?
Don't panic. Accept it. I did everything. Nothing really worked. Just try to get your mind off of the thought of it.
Yeah.
Because when you're not stressing and you're kind of rested mentally, that's when you can lie down and you just drift off into dreamland.
it's okay to have a sleepless night.
Yes.
Because then once you have it, you think that's it. I'm never gonna sleep again, and that cycle repeats. Like, it's okay, you're not gonna die.
Get out of bed at the same time and go to bed at the same time.
What is the most annoying thing about the other one? So, like, about one another.
Okay, you first.
Me first. There's this thing where he will send something, like a picture, and it's like a text, like a screenshot of a conversation. No context about who the conversation is, no context when, about who, for what, just a picture. And he leaves it like that. And I'm like, Svein, what is that?
I just didn't
And
know
then he's
context.
like, Michelle, it's about this guy. I'm like, how am I supposed to know? And snoring, but it's obvious. That's like the top of the list, snoring. And you?
When you try to touch my ass.
That's fine. Did y'all not break up? We did, but 2.5 years ago-ish.
Yes.
So-
Now we're 2 years
Now we're
strong.
together forever. Does your girlfriend ever get frustrated
I don't think
for
they
your
last very long,
craze and
honestly.
heavy body size? Heavy body size, yes, but it's very comfy to cuddle. Like, he's so comfortable. He's so, look,
On a bike I'm comfy, on a cat I'm not.
not one bit. Yo, bro, do you have muscle imbalances? And if you do, how can you fix them in the fastest way possible?
My left shoulder is a bit weaker than my right because I don't use my left arm as much because I'm right-handed. So what my chiropractor told me is just try to use your left arm more. I'm always using my phone with my right, so he told me use it with your left because at least you're using it another way. Like when I'm pressing buttons, it's causing my left side to actually activate those little messages that your brain sends to the shoulder and your arm just to press the buttons. It makes it easier for you to feel the muscle and activate it more, which causes it to grow. But obviously this takes time and years of training, years of failing.
I don't know how true that is. I would need a Dr. Mike video on that to really verify, but it seems like it could be somewhat accurate. Interesting. Maybe I'll try using my
But
phone.
if you
my
focus
left
on
hand
it and you do not neglect it in any single way, you will get there.
How do you handle setbacks like injuries or burnout?
I haven't gotten an injury for a while because I train smart. But if I do get an injury, I hope I don't. Usually I just try to calm down immediately. Like, don't stress, you know. If you're injured, you're injured. You can't really do much about it. Depending on the severity of it, I'll approach it accordingly just to make sure I don't make it worse. Just try to avoid using it and let it rest, you know. Give it a few weeks, months, and always know there's no actual time limit to how much you need for it to fully recover. It can take months, weeks, everyone's different. So don't stress too much about it, just accept that it happened, be patient, and then when you get back to the gym, you will be more cautious. It teaches you. Just use that to keep evolving, and for burnout, it's mostly just needing to take some time off and just live a little.
Can you tell us how much milligrams slash grams slash liters of gear you take in total? How much do you pump it up there?
It's not as much as you think. That's today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you want to support me, I have the Anomaly merch live right now on my website. We have the cap.
This is Genetic Anomaly. Dang. Bro, maybe I gotta hop on gear. I probably don't really work out consistently enough. Okay, Sparks, I gotta get to a soccer game, so I'm gonna head off, but I wanted to get that review in. Oh, I might try to quickly post it before I leave. We'll see if I have the time. Otherwise, have a good night. I might stream later tonight, actually, but otherwise, peace out.